My brain doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear and showing up to an event wearing the same outfit as somebody else.
Single image carousels are back.
Right.
Have you heard the news?
And I think, we get in our heads about like, well, oh no, what should my thing be? But here's the thing. You are the thing. How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Good morning, marketing girls. Hi, Kayla.
Hello, Chelsea. Welcome back to another episode. What a fun summer we've had. I feel like we've had so many good little episodes on the podcast, and I can't believe that summer's like coming to a close here in the next couple of weeks. But we wanted to squeeze in another fun one, another like thought-provoking episode to really just get people thinking differently about the way they show up online.
So we were together, in case you missed it, on Instagram 2 weeks ago as you're listening to this for a photo shoot. And the question we always ask ourselves, and we're redoing our podcast cover. We are going to redo the intro to the podcast. And the question we ask ourselves is like, how can we make this neon pink?
Yeah.
And I've heard us talk about that before, but today we're unpacking that topic. So if you're like, wait, what do you mean? You might be able to guess, but we're going to unpack it today. It's going to be so good. So before we get started, I have a quick story. I remember my first meeting at my brokerage that I started at. I wasn't even licensed yet. They just invited me like, hey, like they knew I was going to be starting with them, come to a meeting, meet everyone. I walked in, everyone was super friendly. The sales directors were amazing, like warm and welcoming. And really, I could tell that they were good leaders. I'm like, okay, this is so cool. I get to learn from them. Like this is going to be really good. But the first thing I noticed as I looked around is that everyone must have called each other the night before and said like, what are you wearing tomorrow? And I missed the memo because I was new. And everyone was wearing suits and like looked very professional and nice. So what did I do? I went to Express. That was my like go-to at the time. And I took out a credit card and spent $2,000 on skirts, dress pants, blazers, shirts for under my blazers. I got a couple pair of heels from, what was that shoe store? I think it was called Aldo. That was like where the majority of my money went back in that time period of my life. I don't even know if it exists anymore. But anyways, I wanted to look like everyone else in the room. I wanted to look the part. Obviously, fast forward, shockingly or not, I eventually came to learn that if I wanted to attract clients to me, that blending in was the exact opposite strategy that I should be following. I needed to be the neon pink in the sea of gray suits. And I realized that I could still be professional. I could still give my clients the best possible experience. I could still do my job really well, but I wanted to run my business in a way that felt more authentic to me. So I don't mean when I say the neon pink, like, oh my gosh, like dye your hair or do something crazy or like wear sparkles. I mean, wear sparkles if you want. But what I meant was like, I don't need to be in this like robot sea of gray, like picture drawing black dots on a board and they're all the same. And then there's a neon pink star in the middle. That's what we want you to be. That's the personal brand. So that's what we're unpacking today when it comes to how do you become the neon pink? How do you not blend in with everyone else? And it's not that they weren't good at their jobs. It's not that they weren't successful. But I was like, I don't really want to do the things they're doing. So maybe I should kind of form my own path. But with all that being said, that's basically when my personal brand was born. And I don't even think I knew in the moment that that was called a personal brand. But since that day, I built that brand for my real estate business. I built Modern Agent Social Club following the same principles. And then we've also taught, Kayla and I, thousands of agents how to do the exact same thing. And looking back, I think about like, in that first moment, and even probably for that first year, like what was I trying to accomplish by dressing like everyone else or like looking the part? I was trying to look like I can handle this and I can be a professional agent and I can do a good job. And it was like the sense of belonging, right? Like that's what I was really after. Like if I look like them and I even get the car that they have, like, then I'll look like a real estate agent. Like, then everything will work, right? But it really wasn't about that. It was about building a brand that's going to attract clients to you. And so let's talk about that today.
Yeah. Do you remember, Chelsea, when we first came up with that phrase?
No,
I like literally remember the call. Okay.
no.
We were getting ready to run ads. This was like shortly after I started working for you. We were getting ready to run ads and we were trying to think like, how can we make this look like something that realtors would look at and think, oh, that's for me, without looking like every other real estate membership or product or anything out there that's the same black and white with a splash of neutral with the script font and all of these things. Everything looked exactly the same. And I was like, it just is like a sea of gray. Like we literally pulled up examples. I was like, this is like a sea of gray. And I said, I guess I just really want us to be like the neon pink. And we were like, that's it. But like at the time, like I feel like, disco balls became more of a thing, but at the time they really weren't. And we started like putting like disco balls in our content and like making it more like the little pink hearts and all of that stuff. Like our marketing for our membership already stands out among everything else because that's what we strive to do. And that's what we strive to make for our actual members too, right? But again, it's not about the color pink. It's not about being obnoxious. I do have this joke though that, those memes that are like, my brain doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear and mine is my brain doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear and showing up to an event wearing the same outfit as somebody else. Like it like produces
Same.
that same level of like adrenaline in me where I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. But the bottom line is our brains want us to fit in. Our brains want us to really play it safe because even if where we are is miserable, at least it knows how to handle it. And the only way that we can get out of that is if we like really work towards getting out of that. And so we have to decide, what does that look like for us? And for everyone listening right now, their answer is going to be different. And I think that's an amazing thing. But we have to really think about like, what does it actually mean to stand out in an industry and use that not like a sore thumb, right? But as like a North Star where people are like, I'm drawn to her. Like I want to work with her.
I have a question for you. With the sea of gray, the same thing happens on social media where, okay, I'm going to do what they're doing. Then I look like I fit in. This is how I look professional. This is how someone will look me up and think like she's an actual realtor. She knows what she's doing. At what point does the professionalism turn into the sea of gray? Like, how do you distinguish, like, I want to be professional, but I don't want to be in the sea of gray?
Right. Well, to me, I think about when people are like, I'm afraid of being unprofessional. I think to myself, what are you doing? Are you getting on Instagram and you're like talking trash about your clients? Or are you like talking crap about other agents that you just worked with? Or are you getting drunk or high and you're like, are you showing up to something unprepared? Like, that's unprofessional behavior, right? Showing up in a way that is human, that is also of service, is not unprofessional. Now, you're going to attract certain kind of people depending on how you show up. So you're going to have some agents, and there's nothing wrong with either one. You're going to have some agents who are more like, let's say they're like a mom brand, and they're like, oh yeah, I get it. Like I've got kids running around too, and like that's no problem and whatever. They're going to attract people that are like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, I appreciate that. And that's no big deal. And they don't care if you have to bring your kid to a showing or whatever. Like, it's not a problem. If you have that kind of brand, don't expect to attract the multi-million-dollar professional who wants this all taken care of off his plate and wants to have you take care of every detail and just go to bed at night not worrying about. Like, that's not what you're going to attract. But that's okay because there's other brands that can show up that way. Now, I would argue that the agent who wants to serve that particular type of client can still show up with her personality. She can still show up with an opinion. She can still show up with something unique about her and still be so professional that those kind of clients would think that's the only agent for me.
I love that. So the neon pink is essentially saying you're standing out, right? And I think some people are afraid to stand out for a lot of those reasons. I'm afraid to not look professional. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of what they will say. I'm afraid of what people will think. But standing out, if you can switch that in your brain to thinking of that means that you are familiar and you're recognizable in the sea of Instagram, like that's when people start to like gravitate towards you, the right fit ones.
Mhm.
And that's when people remember you and your name pops in their head first when real estate comes up, or when they're talking to a friend at dinner and they bring up something they saw in your content, right? It means we can't be so afraid of being unprofessional that we appear as an AI robot, because then you might as
Right.
well not even have social media, right? Like, especially in this time of AI and how where things are going. So what does standing out mean to you though? Like I just said, it means like recognizable, being familiar, but like how would you explain if you pulled up someone's account and you're like, that really stands out? Like what things might you find in common in that person's account?
Yeah. Well, again, it can mean a multitude of things, but I think if something stands out to you or if someone stands out to you, it's because they presented something to you in a way that was different than all the rest. So, like, something was a little bit different. Even if it wasn't like your cup of tea, you still remember it. But also, that's the other thing. If there's just something about them that makes you go, oh, like I have that in common with you, or like that's relatable. For instance, years ago, I got really into decluttering and I was like, I've got to like declutter my house. But honestly, we have 4 kids and they're all like young children. And so they all, so many toys, so many, and I just felt like it's impossible. And all these people talking to me already have like adult children. And I felt like they were just like talking down to me. So the one that stood out to me was the girl who was like, I have 4 kids. And this is what, and I was like, seriously? Like, tell me how you did it. And then I listened to her because I felt like she understood where I was coming from, right? So I think standing out can mean a lot of things, but even think about this way. Like think about like the world before social media. Do you remember getting like those like GE phone books? I think they were sponsored by GE or like whatever, but you got like an actual phone book, right? And you would like turn to the page, like if you needed like pest control, you would turn to like the pest control page or whatever, the P's, and then you would see all these business names. Which one were you most likely to call? It was probably the one who paid for the ad, for their name to be just a little bit bigger, for them to actually be able to include their logo and like a little something about them, like a tagline. You're probably more likely to call them more than you were the 50 lines underneath them but full of numbers, because what was unique about them? You couldn't even tell. So standing out has always been a thing. It's just the bar has been raised so much with social media because there's so much like creative process that people can take to like stand out, right? But I think as agents, we have to think of it not so much as like, how can I become like this top agent that everyone's talking about? It's not so much that, but I think it's more about like, how can I become the only agent that like 50 people would ever want to work with? And if you can reach that, which is 50, right? Like 50 people aren't moving every single year, but if you can reach that, and then those 50 people know 50 people, and those 50 people know 50 people, the ripple effect from that, and just like the little things that you're doing in your personal brand to stand out will like have this giant wave in your business. We'll actually start to like feel that effect. So it's so simple, but yet it's so powerful. And it's really all about like just discovering what it is that's unique about you and what you want it to be, right?
I think we're so afraid of being the wrong fit for someone, or of repelling someone, because it's like, I want to be able to help whoever, but do you? Like, there are so many people in your city in the last 12 months who have moved. You couldn't possibly have helped them all. So if instead we can switch that to think, what if I could help the, like, insert your goal number? What if I could help the 20 that I would actually love to work with, and it would be a really good experience? And like, it would start out like with trust on all levels and all the things. But we're so afraid to be the wrong fit that we miss the opportunity to attract those 20 or those 30 or even those 50, because we're trying to appeal to literally everyone.
Yeah.
And even what you just said about the organizer, what if she was like looking around at other organizers in the industry? What is the rainbow colorful people?
Oh, the home edit.
Home edit. What
Yeah.
if she was just like, I'm just going to be like them? And she did all rainbow colors and never talked about her 4 kids, because she was just really trying to emulate what she thought was like the standard and the go-to in that industry. You never would have found her, and neither would probably hundreds, thousands, however many people that found her and purchased from her. Like, we are drawn to people that we feel like we have something in common with. I'll even hear agents say things like, well, I just want to do like, how do I become like do luxury homes? You could totally create content that attracts luxury buyers and sellers, but you need to be, what do I want to say? you need to emulate that lifestyle too then. Like,
Right.
I want you hanging out at the country club and the golf course and going to tennis lessons and going to really nice restaurants in town. Like, you need to put yourself in the places where those opportunities exist, and then that reflects back onto your social media. Having really pretty graphics or quote unquote professional content doesn't attract luxury buyers and sellers. Putting yourself in the room with those people and then
Yeah.
bringing it to life through your content, that's a brand. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Like, is
Oh,
that clicking?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, sometimes we try to like formulate this like made up version to
Right.
be attracting who we want. And then it doesn't work because we're like, okay, but I look really luxury on here. You're in the outfit that looks luxury. Maybe you take a picture in front of a house that looks luxury, but that's not it. That's not what those people are necessarily scrolling and connecting with. Half of them aren't moving tomorrow. So they're like, okay, not for me, goodbye. Like, if you want them to be like, you're the go-to, they need to see you in the settings that they're in the neighborhoods that they are living in, buying and selling in, like have friends in. Like, that's where that would come to life as an example for luxury. It can't just be about like, well, I look really professional in this really cute outfit. I have high heels on,
Yep.
like I have a blaze, like all the things. Like, that's not going to do it. And that's the same with anything. So that's just one example. But let's say you want the more of a mom brand, then your content will reflect that in some way. Doesn't mean your kids need to be screaming in every story that you do, but you're going to bring them forward. Or you might talk about home features that you love as having a big family, or that you love having toddlers. Or like, I always talk about, I love having our playroom right out the living room, and we did not build this house, but I'm like, I want that feature forever as long as I need a playroom, because
Yeah.
it's so nice that he can go play in there, and it's right out the kitchen, right out the living room. And like, that might be something I talk about a lot if I'm a real estate agent and I want to attract more, like those types of examples. Not that I talk about that every day, but you see what I mean? Like, you're inserting yourself into the life where the people you are trying to connect with are also living.
Yeah.
There needs to be a cohesiveness to that. And a lot of times with the sea of gray, not that we intentionally do it, but we feel comfortable there. We feel like, okay, like no one's going to judge me. Here I am as this really great agent who's professional, but you're missing the opportunity for anyone to ever even know how really great you are as an agent, because you look like everyone else. You're saying the
Yeah.
same thing. You are posting the same look of content. You have like, there's nothing about your content that tells someone like, I am for you. And that is really the problem with the sea of gray when it comes to marketing in general, like the definition of marketing. And I didn't look up the technical definition, but it's like to get attention. Like, if you want attention on your business, if you want people to think of you first or to call you, like, that's how that happens. It's not through like the blending in or the gray that looks like everyone else. It's just forgettable. We don't want forgettable content. We don't have time for forgettable content right now.
No. And I think, we get in our heads about like, well, oh no, what should my thing be? But here's the thing. You are the thing. Like, you already are it. And here's a great example of how it's not actually as limiting as what you might think. So for myself, when I first got my real estate license, we live in this town where everyone knows our family as the coaching family because my husband's a football coach. I could have tried so hard to like fight that and be like, well, I'm totally different than him, whatever. But I leaned into it because I was like, well, they already know me as that. So I may as well have them think coach's wife and realtor. You know what I mean? And so I leaned into that. And then I just did things with my kids and I just showed what we did, whether we went to the library or the park, whatever. Do you want to know who some of my top clients were who not only used me more than once, but also referred me to all their friends? They were either single males or they were couples who had no interest in ever having kids. And it's so funny because they loved me. And I think there was 4 or 5 of them that was like kind of one like, oh yeah, and they all got like kind of worked together and there was just like connection. But honestly, I look at what they liked about me, and it wasn't that they loved sports, because they didn't. It wasn't that they wanted to have kids, because they didn't. But I think it's because of how I showed up and how I spoke and the stories that I would share about the things that I was learning or whatever. I just think they just trusted me. It was like a whole, like the essence of who I was, the way that it came across. They were like, okay, like, tell me what to do. So when we would get together and then something would be said about, football, or something would be said about the kids, whatever, they would like think it was fun to learn about that, but that like wasn't the reason why they were calling me, and they had nothing to say in response to that. But I sold so much real estate because of that. So I feel like we can get in our heads and like overthink the whole like, well, I don't know what it is about me, whatever. But the truth is, like, there already is something about you that people think of when they think of you. So just lean into that a little bit, but know that that's not a limit. That's not like a barricade or an obstacle. That's like your launching point. Like, that's just the beginning of what people think about you. And from there, they're going to lean in even more and be like, well, I want to know more. And then if they happen to trust you through all of that, they're going to hire you.
That makes me think about how I think there's a misconception that when we talk about being the neon pink, because it's a color, because we use pink and people will comment on that. And you already said, like, it's not about the color pink. There's this misconception that like the standing out or the making your content different, it's about the visual look of the content. And maybe that's like a piece of the puzzle. But what actually, like what you just said, what actually makes someone fit the neon pink star in the sea of black dots or gray suits or whatever you like to think about as a visual. I think about like an ocean and all like the gray fish, and then I think of like a really sparkly pretty fish, and that's like the one. So whatever visual you want to use. But what actually makes someone neon pink, like the example you just said, is it was really about how you talk, how you in essence like educate, how you what it would be like if I sat down with you at a coffee shop and you told me your advice on buying a house or selling my house. Like that can only come through in our marketing or on social media if they can hear your voice and see your face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that isn't even about like color or what you like to drink in the morning or how you spend your weekends or if you like golfing or not. Like that's just purely who you're drawn to because of who they are. And you pull so many people, and there's no other way that someone can get that feeling without seeing your face and hearing your voice. There's no way. It's in your like pronunciation of things. It's in your tone of your voice, the inflection of your voice. Like there's so many things that really make people either drawn to you or not, and that's totally fine. Speaking of face to cam, it brings up this Jessie Jean girl who does the yapping challenge, which just kills me because first of all,
tell us how you really feel.
No, she's brilliant, and I'll tell you why. Quick story in case you haven't heard it, she did a yapping challenge and had like 16,000 people sign up for it and made like $5 million in a very short amount of time. Just started her Instagram not too long ago. The reason that happened is multiple things. Number one, she was really good at what she was teaching you to do. So she was doing it and saying, if you want to learn how to do it, sign up for my challenge. Number two, she was extremely specific. Yapping became her brand. She coined the term yapping kind of as far as like how to promote this product that she had instead of just saying like how to talk on camera. She branded it. And then thirdly, she has a brand. She's always wearing like soccer shirts and always has her hair up and is very like casual, yet just made $5 million. Like, in addition, her emails, I was paying attention to her emails. So I'm like, I have to invest. I need to like take this all in and I'm going to do it's like a study. I'm always studying people. Her emails, she uses words like, hey, homie, and like, what's up with like a million pieces. I would never, ever write that way, right? Like, it's not me, but I still would buy from her because I want to know what she's teaching. So like, there's so many layers to this whole topic of like building a brand and being the neon pink. There is not one amazing magical answer that you're gonna like, because I know you're sitting there overthinking what your personal brand should be. You're not alone, but there is no magical like, this is it. This is the now when I just said she made $5 million, you're gonna be like, maybe I should wear soccer shirts and talk about real estate. Maybe I should say homie. No.
Well, it's proof that you can be yourself and that you can be the brand, right?
Exactly. And it's not about following what she's doing and like, okay, if she made that much money that fast, then I should start using all those words and wearing those things and using the colors. Absolutely not. The point is that it became memorable because it was specific. All those individual things I listed off were very specific and they were tied to her. Now, a million people on the internet are talking about face to cam and yapping and all the things, but she's the one everyone's remembering. Yep. So that's what we need to think about is whatever it is about you, be specific, be consistent, and you're gonna have people drawn in because they're like, I just love how she sounds and she feels like she'd be really easy to talk to. You're gonna have other people that are drawn in because they're like, okay, she feels or she seems so organized. My brain needs that to like survive. I love it. I'm all in. You're gonna have people who are like, I love that she has like little kids at home and that blah blah blah. Like there's gonna be so many different angles. And that's why we can't like pigeonhole ourselves into thinking like, okay, I'll use the color pink and then this will work for me too. Or I'll wear the soccer jersey too and this will also work for like no. We gave this example in a training recently. It was we pulled up someone's account who she named her anxiety Sally.
Yeah.
And she had this little caricature next to her named Sally, and like that was this big part of her brand. And it was really cute and funny, and her account was really fun to consume. And then I saw like later someone said like I've always thought about bringing anxiety into my brand, and I was like, well, like you could, but like that really wasn't our point. It's more like what about you do you want to pair with real estate that would fit? So like we don't want to look at like an inspiration type thing and be like, I'll just do that. But
Right.
it really has to come from you. Like what do you feel like makes the most sense for you? Like what's going to click for you? I was talking to someone else. They were like, I'm like, if you had to tell me one thing, like just name one of the brand menu things that you think is your strongest. And they were like, spicy margarita. I'm like, okay, perfect. There are so many ways you can weave that into marketing and or real estate or whatever it is. There's another one that she had was that she wears cool girl t-shirts. And I was like, she's like, but I haven't really been wearing them a lot. I'm like, well, that's okay. Like you can have a major and a minor. Like your major, the thing you kind of lead with is a spicy margarita. Maybe you're not afraid to share what you really think about the house and you kind of bring that into your content. Maybe the advice you give is spicier advice. Maybe hanging out with you is like really it's really laid back and your conversation flows and you're not like super rigid and like robot realtor. You're just like fun to hang out with and they feel like really comfortable around you. Like there's so many things that beverage can tie into personality. Whereas like the cool girl t-shirt, when you wear one and you're wearing it in your stories and it's just like a little side character. It doesn't need to be the main thing where every time you open your stories you're wearing a cool girl t-shirt. Like so
Yeah.
have a major, have a minor, like have your stronger one, have your side ones. I just love talking about this because as we're talking, I'm like, I have a million ideas to tell our members after just saying those
Well, I
three things.
know. We talk about personal branding all the time, but maybe that sounds complicated. But what if I told you you could have a personal brand by Friday?
We're giving you a simple week-long plan with clear action steps to follow Monday through Friday. So by the end of the week, you have everything you need to start standing out in your market.
Click the link in the show notes to grab your personal brand by Friday guide so you can get started today. Well, that's what I was going to say, because I feel like, to help people really find like their neon pink, that's our whole framework. That's like the whole personal brand framework that we have inside the membership. And that would take a really long time to go through. But I asked a few like key questions. I wrote 3 questions down that I think could at least get people thinking about this in a new way to help them get started. So the first one is like, what brings you joy? Like, little things. One of the reasons I love to go shopping isn't because I love spending a bunch of money and like bringing home a million things, but it's because I love like the displays. I love seeing like when like Target refreshes like their end aisles or whatever. I just think it's all pretty. I like paying attention to patterns and colors and just little like elements. I just think it's like fun and it kind of gets my brain, especially if I've had like a long day but I need to like get work done, taking a quick walk and like seeing different things like that, different combinations. I think like, oh my gosh, like that's really cool. But also like I love like just cute little drinks. I love getting outside and like feeling the sun on my skin and like going for swimming or whatever, like whatever those things are that bring you joy. How can you incorporate that in your content somehow? And like, this doesn't mean that you like go to the pool every day and do a marketing report in a bikini top, but like just maybe it means like, you know what, I am going to go for a quick swim before I go do this thing because I'm going to be in a better mood and I'm going to be in a better place to do that. So bringing joy is one. Is there anything like particular that comes to mind to you when I ask that question?
Bringing joy. I love my mornings. I love this morning, actually. My husband and I had coffee together in our living room. I was reading Unreasonable Hospitality. He was reading another book. Henry was playing with his cars on the floor. It was just so peaceful. I turned on like coffee shop jazz in the background. And I just love those cozy, slow morning moments. That totally brings me joy, especially when like if it works, that the sun is filtering in through the windows. Like I love, love, love that. I also love a date night with my husband and like getting there and having like that first glass of wine and just like you're so relaxed and you just get to talk and not have any interruptions. I love that vibe of like kind of like the shopping thing, not so much because like, oh, I want to like go out to eat, but I love experiencing like good service at a restaurant. I love seeing like what items they have on their menu. I
Yeah.
love like the vibe and the atmosphere and like what can I take away from that? Like why does this work for this restaurant where this other one has this totally different vibe? And I love both, like I love just observing those things. And there's always like a 5-star conversation that comes into our conversation as like Mark and I, as we're sitting there of like, that was 5 stars, or maybe that wasn't, and like, how do you take away from that as like a business owner? So yeah, those are some of mine. But when we think about that, and then we think about, well, how would you advise? Like, give some examples from any of the things we just said. Like, how would you bring that into your content? Like, because we don't want this shouldn't feel like you're leaving yourself to create content. It should feel more like I'm just taking this experience and bringing it to life in the
Yeah.
content or in your stories. Like, what would be your advice?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. I mean, one, just really simple one. Let's use like the shopping one as an example. Maybe it's literally every time that you go somewhere, you just snap a few pictures of your favorite little displays or your favorite things that you saw, and then just turn that into a little carousel once in a while. And you can call it something cute, but like, things that brought me joy lately or on brand moments in the wild or whatever. And then you can tie it back to like real estate somehow. You could even do that like when you are listing a house, instead of just showing the whole house or doing like a formal house tour, zoom in on a few little areas that you're like, oh, this would be really cute. Or this reminds me of like an anthropology or like just something along those lines, right? But I think literally like, even if you're just showing what you're seeing in your stories, people just look forward to seeing what you like. There are people that I follow who it's not even like I'm like, oh, I want to be just like them. I just like their taste. And so I just like to see like, what did they like from this new drop, or what did they like from this collection? I don't necessarily buy it all the time. I just think it's interesting. I saw one girl, and I need to figure out who it is, but there was a girl who posted a wear and wear. So it was WEAR and WHERE. And so it was what she was wearing and where she was going.
Oh, that's so cute.
Another question that I had that just to help you like get your wheels spinning is, what do people text you about? Like, look back even at your last 5 or 6 text messages from friends. What are they asking you about? Is it something about your kid or a show or something that you did together one time, or a hobby of yours or whatever? Like, what are you actually like in somewhat daily conversation about? That's probably something that could be something neon pink in your life that would make you stand out.
Like, what are they coming to ask you? Like, when I use the date night example, if I would document all the date night spots, people would probably start thinking like, I'm gonna ask Chelsea where I should go. Like, that did
100%.
happen. That does happen to me actually. But like, you can use that with real estate. Like, it could become a series. It could become a thing. It made me think of, and I don't know how you would do this, but I read the book, The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. And there was this like lady, and I forget her name, but she would visit all of these resorts and hotels, and she was anonymous. Like, you didn't know who she was. So if she came to your resort, you wouldn't know that she was there. But then after she would leave, she would rate your resort or your hotel with a number of keys. And she had never given out 5 keys, which would be 5 stars. And I'm like, what if you like rated the like places you go in your town with like, you could even do keys. It's real estate. But the hard thing is you wouldn't want to rate like a restaurant bad and they'd be like, I hate her. But like
Right.
something cute like that. Maybe you only highlight your 5-star places and you
Yeah.
don't talk negatively about anyone else. You could do that. Like another 5-star date night in Lake Country as a realtor and mom of 2 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's just those little things. I mean, it can be like anything along those lines. I'm trying to think of what even like my friends have texted me about, but just random little things. Like however, like if you're talking to your friends about it, there's a good chance that it could have a place on your social media. So like, how can you tie that in? Again, it doesn't mean everything goes on social media, right? Like your brand is a curated version of you. It's not who you actually are. I actually used the example in the membership recently about how like it's kind of like there's a difference between the book and the movie. And a lot of times people who have read the book are like, well, I kind of like the book better, but the movie's still really good. But the movie sometimes changes a few details or doesn't include everything, or maybe it like takes some creative liberty in some places. Well, my experience is like, well, then your book is your life, and that's just really who you are. That's the nuts and bolts of it. But also, like, the movie is like the big screen adaptation. So like, not everything makes the cut. Some things get a little added or like embellished a little bit, not like in a deceiving way, but just in a, I'm going to highlight this part of my life more than the other parts of my life. That's a good thing. And then people who love consuming the movie probably want to read the book. They probably want to know more.
I love that example. And I don't know that I've ever had a situation where I thought the movie was better. And here's my take on this. You as the human are always going to be better. And that's the goal. They get this glimpse of you in this like movie, even movie trailer. Think of it like every post you have, every story you put out is like a little micro trailer of like, what is it like to work with her? What is she like as a person? What would it be like if we got coffee together? What would it be like if she gave me real estate advice? And when they meet you in real life, if they haven't before, it's even better. They're like, oh my gosh, this is everything I thought and more. Like, you would
Right.
never want someone to come to you from social media and be like, that was not what I was expecting, right?
Yes,
So like the
exactly.
book should be better. You, the human, should be better, but you're curating parts of that book because like the book always goes deeper into their thoughts, into the emotions, into the conversations. But you're taking a piece of it or a curated version and putting it on social media, and you're gonna leave stuff out. Like, and we've talked about this before, but having a personal brand or having a personality on social media or in your content doesn't mean messy. It doesn't mean negative. It doesn't mean airing your dirty laundry. Like, that is the last thing you want to do as a real estate agent. What it does mean, or anyone, what it does mean is you maybe you watch Bravo when you're just really trying to relax and you share that in your stories.
Yeah.
And it doesn't maybe make it into your content, but like your permanent content, but it's still a piece that you share that people like think of you by. I always laugh
Yeah.
because a mutual friend, she told me this years ago and it has never left my brain that when she wants to relax, her kids are in bed, she will turn on her Bravo reality shows. She'll get in bed with a bag of Gardettos and spreadable cheese and dip her Gardettos in the cheese. And I never has that left my brain. This was probably 20 years ago that this person told me this.
They're
And I
probably
just
like,
have to
don't think of
admit,
that when you think of me.
yeah, no. But yeah, it's just like it sticks in your brain because it's something I didn't even watch Bravo at the time of hearing this, and like it but it sticks with you because you know what Bravo is, right? Like, so again, not everything is going to perfectly connect or relate to with every single person that follows you, but it doesn't mean it won't be memorable because specificity is memorable.
Exactly. And I think that kind of is like the last question that I would ask if you're listening to this. Like, ask yourself, like, what is your point of view? Like, what is your unique lens that you view things at? And it sounds maybe more complicated, but really it all boils down to like, what do you think about that? What did you think about Summer House? It's not the fact that you're watching it. It's like, well, what did you think about it? It's not the fact that you like to go to cute restaurants, but like, what did you think about them? It all goes back to like, say the things that they can't Google or that they can't just go to ChatGPT or Claude and say, like, what about this? Like, say the things that only you can say, and people will start turning to you and you will become their resource and you will become the one that stays top of mind when they do think of those things. But you have to have a point of view. You have to take the time to think to yourself, like, what do I think about this? And then you have to be brave enough to share those thoughts online, even like from little things to big things, but like share those thoughts enough that people are like either maybe a little bit repelled by it or a little bit attracted to it, but at least they know you for something.
Or they lean in a little bit more. Speaking of reality shows, not to go down this path, but there are so many podcasts that recap reality TV shows, like so many. So, say I love Summer House. There's probably 50, maybe more, podcasts that recap Summer House. I don't listen to all of them. I listen to one of them whose point of view I really want to hear because I like them. So, it's the same thing. You're in a market with hundreds, thousands of real estate agents. Your goal is to be the agent who people want your point of view, but you have to give them a reason to want it, right? Like, if you aren't sharing anything that goes deeper than the surface level real estate graphic or you in a cute outfit and some text on top, they're never going to even know that they would want your point of view. So it's like it is sharing your real life mixed with your real estate life and your point of view as an agent, as a human. That's why I never want to see content like, if we call this the coast filter, if you haven't heard us say it, It's, could other agents share this? And if the answer is yes, then change something about it. Like, I will find agents who, like, I'll see their stories and I'll be like, oh my gosh, they seem so fun. And then I'll look at their feed and I'm like, I would never know. I would never know anything from your feed, because it's like, here's a list of local events. Here's where to go to the farmer's market. Here's my listing. Here's this. It looks great. It looks professional, but there's no depth. I don't care about the list of local events or the list of farmers markets. I want to know what you're doing on Saturday. Where are you going in this city? What neighborhoods do you show houses in? What clients are you helping? Like, I want to know the depth beyond the surface level posts, right?
Yeah.
So you can make your post deeper in a really simple way. Like, it doesn't mean like deep. In fact, like, single image carousels are back.
Right.
Have you heard the news? We'll talk about that on a future episode. But you have to have a point of view in real estate in your town, and then as who you are. So talk about our content some more. Each one of those ingredients, which I just said, are things people need to hear your take on, not just the generalized version.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, bottom line, if you're listening to all of this right now and you're thinking, okay, I know, like, you've gotten into my head, like, you've made me really stop and think about this, and I know, like, I need to figure out what that thing is, or maybe I have an idea of what that is, but now, like, what do I do with it? That is honestly what our membership is for. So if you are at all interested in, like, especially as like summer winds up and like fall's taking over, kids are going back to school, and you're like, I actually am ready to really take this seriously, we would love to have you inside of it. You can go to modernagentsocialclub.com and join there. But honestly, like, this is our bread and butter. This is what we think about night and day. This is what we talk about all day long. This is what we help members with, because this is the answer. It's not just more graphics, which we give you a lot of those. It's not just more real ideas, which we give you a lot of those. It is like, what is unique about you, and how can we like sprinkle that all throughout your content so that people cannot get enough of you.
And just to say this, we have been talking about this since 2013. That's when I became a real estate agent and I started building my personal brand. But we launched Modern Agent in 2018, and my angle from day one has been how to add personality to your content so you actually have a brand, not just another feed of content. And I know personal branding is becoming such a buzzword right now, but if you really want like the framework, the strategy, like, how do I do this? How do I make it so it's not superficial and fluffy and like everyone else? Like, this is the place to go. And I'm very confident saying that. So anyways, this was so fun. Thank you, Kayla, for sharing all your wisdom on the neon pink and the sea of gray. And is there anything else we want to end with?
No, we just want to see you in the membership. We want to see you be successful. Honestly, we just want to see you. We want to look at your feed and be like, dang, she's awesome. Like, I would love to get to know her more. And we're not going to see that unless you're doing all of these things.
Exactly. Amazing. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.